Hey, my name is Kyle Rush, and you are watching the No Counts Given podcast. Dance Team Union is a proud sponsor of the No Counts Given podcast. At Dance Team Union, the spotlight shines on you. Join DTU at camps and competitions that focus on bringing your program exactly what you are looking for. What is their mission, you might ask? To make sure your voice is heard loud and clear. DTU is dedicated for being coach and dancer focused because your needs and wants are their top priority, guiding DTU to provide tailor-made opportunities to align perfectly with your vision. Your voice matters. It's what drives them to provide and innovate season after season. Join the DTU family today and let your passion for dance take center stage. Dance Team Union, where your voice inspires greatness. To learn more about their summer camps and competitions and nationals that are really going to be coming right around the corner, go to www.danceteamunion.com. What's up, everybody, and happy Thursday. Welcome back, or welcome to the No Counts Given podcast. I am your host, Kyle Rush. I am here every single Thursday. We drop a new episode every single Thursday. Besides next Thursday, by the way, it's 4th of July, so we are taking the week off, but we're going to be back the following Thursday after that. But we drop every single Thursday. If it is your first time coming in and watching and listening on, thank you for tuning in. I'm very excited for today's episode. But before I even continue, if you're a continuous watcher, you come back week after week after week. Thank you. I appreciate your support. I can't even explain how much I appreciate it. So I just want to thank you for coming back and listening week after week. Now, before we get into today's episode and today's interview, I have to be very honest. I made a terrible mistake in which an apology is due. Today's interview is with the one and only Phil Wright. I'm very excited to have him on the No Counts Given podcast. Now, you're going to learn more about him in the interview. Okay, now before we get into the interview, though, I have to admit my wrongdoings of what happened during the interview. And I caught it like the last 5 minutes of the interview, and I'm very upset with myself that I didn't catch it earlier. The mics were not recording. Yep, the mics were not recording. However, on the cameras, we were able to get audio from that, and I played with it and edited it as much as I can so that way you could hear and understand and still feel like you're in the podcast environment. I think it came out pretty good. I'm pretty proud of myself, I'm not going to lie. There were some areas that just I couldn't get right, and that's fine. The bulk and the messages that Phil was sending, they are loud and clear. However, just to also help, because if you're an audio listener, I would encourage you to listen to the video option because I included captions. I went on and I made sure if there was something that maybe didn't sound correct or you can't make out what myself or Phil was saying, I added captions so that way you could follow along just fine. I'm not going to do this again. I learned my mistake. It will not happen again. Hold me to it. But without further ado, let's get into the interview because it's a good one. And it was just a great conversation for dancers, for dance teams, coaches, directors, studio owners, whoever you are. This conversation could resonate with you in one way or another. So let's get into the interview and let's welcome on Phil Wright. I'm excited to have you.
Dude, thank you for having me.
Thank you. From Pitbull, Nicki Minaj, Lil Nas X, Kevin Hart, Will Smith. It's been a journey for you.
I believe dancing saved my life. First and foremost, dancing definitely saved my life. There were a few things that you were good at, where we came from. It was either you were very smart or you were athletic. It was a cultural thing. It was very street driven. It was a way of life. It was, it was culture, and that's what I grew up in. And, one thing led to another. I loved it, and it kept me off of the street.
You teach all over the place, all over the world. Do you have a teaching philosophy? And has it like changed over time? You're like, I'm going into a class and this is my goal. This is what I want the kids and the dancers that are in there to get out of the experience. And has that changed from when you started till now?
Wow, that's a loaded question. I am true to the fundamental. Okay. Now that I've grown older, I make it a priority to do more research and learn about more about the craft that I'm in. Now, as I grow older, I understand that, in order to drive the culture forward, we need to keep that baseline of fundamentals. So, as I grow older, I stick with that as much as I can. My whole motto of my whole classroom setting is motivation and inspiration. And the fundamental element is there, but I think people, most of the kids or most of the students that come to my class don't say, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Phil Wright's class to get these fundamentals." Although that you do get them, uh, I feel like, and this is me just guessing of what I hear, but people come to my class because they want to feel good after they leave. It's been a joy for me, and I think that takes precedence over anything else.
Do you feel like teachers kind of strayed away from those fundamentals, like that I've been to a lot of classes.
Okay.
You don't get fundamentals broken down. I'm not going to go to every single class and learn everything about hip hop.
Yeah.
Have you seen that shift, or just people looking for the wrong teachers?
I mean, I've seen that shift in me.
Mm.
I never taught the 5 elements of hip hop
Yeah.
before. You know, uh, I felt that it was a getaway for me. Like if I had people in my class, I wanted to teach and I wanted to see my choreography on other people.
Yeah.
But as I grow older, I understand that there's a difference between someone who wants to just see their choreography on other people versus an educator.
Mm.
And if you're gonna call yourself an educator, that's a different story. Yeah. That, for me, that's massively important. I think the value in that goes much longer and stretches farther for any educator or a teacher in the class. So, yes, the shift has happened. And, you know, I never frown upon young teachers because you start somewhere.
Absolutely.
No one knows your story. If you had to do that to make ends meet, hey, by all means. And if you're keeping a safe environment, go ahead, man. You know what I mean? So, now I'm not saying a 5-year-old should be teaching class or you know what I mean. Although I've seen that too. But we have to lead with some type of end goal.
Let's go into the parrot jam.
Oh man.
How did that start, and how did it become this national movement?
Wow.
That's all you.
Well, I mean, I like to say, I mean, I love it, and I'm glad that people look towards me when they think of parents and kids dancing with one another. But I didn't create parents dancing with their kids, right? I would like to say I've sort of highlighted it,
Yeah.
put it in uh, on social media, where at that particular time, it was just highlight the best dancer in the room, highlight the best dancer in the room, and make this dope video.
Yeah.
Whereas I went more of the family route in saying, hey, it doesn't take a great dancer for a video to be good or content to be good.
Yeah.
So, and that resonated with everyone, because not everyone's a phenomenal dancer,
Yeah.
but you have more people who have dreams and who are eager to do great things. And it's been great. It's been going, from one end to the next, ended up, creating a TV show from it. Like it's been great. And I get requests all the time. Hey, and I can see the studio side from it because, you know, studios need the parent support,
Yeah.
and if you can get the parents in the classroom to love what they invest their time in with their kids and their children and their money, then you got them, right? And that's all you really need. Yeah. So I mean, I know safe environment for the kid,
Yeah.
but the parents, that's the ticket.
How did that turn into going into a TV show? Like, did they find you like on social media, all the YouTube videos, or
So when I first started, I started posting videos on YouTube. And at first it was like kind of frowned upon because it wasn't the greatest dancers in the world. And then you saw parents like kind of doing like these like very rudimentary, like elementary moves.
yeah,
And I ended up posting one video and I think it was to like Rolex. That went crazy, and I think Tyrese ended up reposting. And then Irene Dreyer, my manager now, she ended up seeing that video and reached out to me. It's like, hey, and I don't know who she is, but she's produced Sister Sister. She's produced Secret Life of Zach and Cody. She's like, let's meet for coffee on Facebook. Let's meet for coffee. So we meet, and she's like, hey, I think this is a TV show. I was like, what? Like, I just want to make an extra dollar. And that's why I wanted the parents to come in. I just want to double the money, That's it. No, she's like, no, I think this is a TV show. Let's talk. And lo and behold, 5 months later, I was sitting in a Disney office with 9 other executives in there asking me what I would like to do with the show. And then there was Fam Jamper.
Yeah. Was it hard to give like a piece of that up to Disney?
Well, I was smart about it. I had good people behind me to understand that, because at first, it could have Parent Jam could have been theirs, but notice only 2 different names.
Yeah.
I owned the Parent Jam. Okay. They owned Fam Jam. So Fam Jam is theirs. Disney's Fam Jam, that's theirs.
Yeah.
So during the process, the legal process, I had people coaching me and telling me like, hey, you should sell them the IP, but don't give up that name. And Disney had their own reasons for going a different route too. They didn't necessarily want the name either.
Yeah.
They had their own views about whatever, but yeah. And ultimately, I sold it off, and it was like, okay, cool, let's do another one.
Did anything surprise you other than it being frowned upon?
Yeah.
Was there any surprises bringing parents into the room to dance with their kids? I mean, I was at a studio for 8 years. I would have loved to see the parents come in and take a class and see what these kids go through. But I mean, were there any like surprises that came from it?
I mean, I think one of the most cool things to see is the relatability between the parent. Right. The kid was wild and crazy. Usually the parent was. Usually if the kid was misbehaving in class, usually the parent is.
Yeah.
So that was an eye-opener for a lot of parents, because other parents would see what would be going on in the classroom and they would fully understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And see how difficult it is to control an environment with so many different personalities.
Oh, sure.
They would then get a very clear understanding. Oh, okay, so you really have to multitask this thing. So that was probably one of the most coolest things to witness. And have them come to me and say, hey, wow, this is crazy that you do this. You do this every day.
So Chicken Nugget University.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Because I was scrolling on the TikTok. No, it was on Instagram. I was on TikTok too. I was just laughing. The energy and the comedy side to it. And when I was looking at it, it seemed like it was still a place where parents are involved in a sense and like really helping with their children at home, because it's all virtual based, correct?
Absolutely.
Tell me about it.
So Chicken Nugget University is an online program where kids are taken seriously. We have a month-to-month program where we coach children on breaking the barriers of the industry. It was to say we have a lot of kids who are very talented, or well promoted on social media and everything like that, but most of them don't have a coach, a mentor to kind of guide them down those rugged roads.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. So we coach them on getting signed to a professional dance agency. And if you're going to do all of those things on social media, why not have a professional resume?
Oh, for sure.
Headshots, or all of these things, the EPK, all of those things that the parents don't really understand.
Yeah.
So that's why I involve the parents. So then they have a clear understanding as to what was going on. So we don't only just teach dance classes, but we do live coaching, we do consulting, and the kid and the parent would have to sit there in a meeting with myself or any senior faculty to coach and say, hey, pen and paper out. This is what you're going to do. Where you stay at? Oklahoma. Okay, your nearest agency is this.
Wow.
So-and-so is this. Okay, and now we're going to reach out, or we're going to pitch, or whatever the case is.
Has working with kids like always been a passion of yours?
Absolutely. I mean, I think I mean, I think I kind of stumbled off of that actually. I was just serving tables at Applebee's when I was around like 21, 22. And I was just looking to make some extra money and ended up teaching at a local dance studio called Paramount Dance Studio. And I'm like, come on, I know you can dance. You see you at the party. And I just started teaching like these little kids. Like, I'm like, what am I doing with these kids? But it was a steady side gig and uh, I grew to love it. And I've been dancing all my life, so I'm not a stranger to it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, and people always ask me, like, why are you so good with kids? I really don't know. I don't know if it's natural. I don't know what it is. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah. I read all your credits earlier, but there is something about someone who builds community and foundation for the youth that is inspirational like no other. I give you your roses for that. On the Instagram though, they ask you some fun questions.
Oh yeah. So that's our Chicken Nugget University joking segment.
That's good. I love it. So let's bring them up. We'll start hard, obviously, because they're all hard questions.
Yes.
This was asked just recently. I heard you didn't make the cut for Chris Brown. What happened there, buddy?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so that was, and I'm trying to like conjure up, I'm like draw up the feelings, but because it's so true, I moved from Miami to LA to dance for the Chris Browns, Ushers, and all of that.
Yeah.
And that was my dream. That was my dream. And I think I auditioned for Chris a number of times and never made it through. Some farther than others, but just never made the cut. But yeah, that was a really big dream in mine.
Yeah.
And still is. If he called me right now, I'm running out the door. Let's go. Now I'll wipe off the debt. Let's go. Let's go. But yeah, but that was a thing, and it's good. It's all good.
Yeah. Do they come up with the questions?
We kind of iron them out a little bit.
I was like, it's either Phil or it's the parrot.
I keep them, I don't screen them so much.
Yeah.
Because I do want some element of surprise, but majority of the time it's the parents that come up.
At what point did you realize you weren't going to make it to So You Think to Dance and decided to teach instead?
Not right. This is not right. This is not right. I actually never tried out for So You Think Dance. I was a fan of So You
Yeah.
Think.
Did you ever want to audition?
No, because I just never thought I would be good.
I don't see how people put themselves through.
I would never.
Yeah.
Like, if you put me in a group,
Yeah.
I can be a part of a group. Like America's Best Dance Crew.
I was just watching videos yesterday.
Let's go. Gear it up. Let's get the crew. Me by myself on the floor, especially on a high platform like that,
Yeah.
and that was when TV was booming. So you had a lot of eyes on you nationally, like,
And you can't jump on TikTok to try and explain yourself at that point.
and nor can you redo anything. No, and nor you had control on what was posted. You went up.
Last one from this. What's it like traveling the world to dance?
Man, it's one of the most remarkable things that I've ever experienced in my life. I think traveling the world has opened my eyes to see many different cultures. Uh, Learning how to teach in different, not even in different languages, just gestures and just the way that you present yourself. I speak English, but I can go into a classroom full of people who speak Chinese and still teach the class effectively. You know what I mean? So that when you get into those different environments and you still love it afterwards, man, I'm home free. And I think that's what did it for me is that traveling. Now I will say, getting on the plane, and getting in an Uber and then checking into your hotel and, oh, my hotel isn't ready yet. I got to sit in the lobby. Oh, okay, you got an early check-in? No? Okay, all right, well, can I pay you a little extra to get in it? That's the hard part to deal with.
Yeah.
But I can say every time that I get into a classroom, re-energized, and all of the students there, whether it be kids or not, re-energizes me to the max, and it just leads me to know I need to keep going.
Has being a father changed your perspective on like teaching the youth?
Being a father is very difficult, man. It's it's difficult in a sense where you have all the answers for everyone else's kids. You have no answers for your own damn kids. You know? I have no answers for my two girls, okay? Love them to death dearly, and my wife and I we try our best, and that's the only thing you can really do. Um, Definitely changed my perspective on viewing how other people treat their kids, But when you have kids and you see other teachers, you empathize a different way, and you know, I've I can say that my my emotional level when it comes to children has gotten better too.
Oh,
You know, being cautious of music, being
okay.
cautious of language, being cautious of movement, you know. Uh, and that was happening before my children were born.
Do you ever feel any pressure or you have to uphold yourself in a specific way being a black man in the industry?
There's not a day that goes by yet that I feel like I'm walking on eggshells, man. There's not a day that goes by. Anything that I say, anything that I may do, if I look funny or look a different way, man, everything could be lost. And I think I posted this on my Instagram not too long ago about having a fear. I'm so afraid of regression, so afraid of losing what I've gained. I've worked so hard for it,
Yep.
and I'm not talking about like going from a luxurious car to a piece of crap. I'm not talking about that. Just talking about losing the steps that I, gained and worked so hard for, you know. And when I catch myself having my family, as a collective or something that I worked so hard for, and being a black man in the industry, my God, you have to be on the up and up, head on the swivel at all times. Black women have it 10 times worse.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So, even with me going through in this female dominating craft, it's tough, man. It's very, very tough. And, you're highly criticized in everything that you do. And we're rare.
Yeah.
Very rare. Think about it. Think of how many convention teachers, black convention teachers are there in the industry that you can think of right off the bat. Now compare that to the number of any other ethnicity.
Yep.
And I'm not just gonna say white.
Yeah.
Let's just say all ethnicities. Very rare.
Yeah.
So I think our craft and our culture has made progress.
Yeah.
Think we can do better.
Yeah.
I think we can do better.
I agree.
You just gotta take it day by day and hope that it gets better.
Dance Team Union is a proud sponsor of the No Counts Given podcast. And y'all, Dance Team Union is going on 10 incredible seasons, okay? This coming up 2025-2026 season, it is 10 incredible years of Dance Team Union. And listen, oftentimes dancers are seen as just supporting elements for other sporting events. The most common misconception that dance is not a sport, and Dance Team Union, they strive for their programs to feel like the main event. Dancers are not placed on the sidelines, but treated and respected as the athletes they are. This need for change in the dance team community is the reason why DTU was created. They are constantly emphasizing that you are the main event through all of their major events and opportunities to this community. Find out when they will be heading to a city near you this season by visiting www.danceteamunion.com.
How important is it to know and understand Black history when teaching or being an educator in the hip hop space?
There's this small notion that once you start teaching, you feel like you content and that you can't learn anymore. I say this for the record. I don't know everything. I've been checked online. Like I've been, hey Phil, you was sing, yeah, brother man, yeah, fix it.
Yeah.
I've been checked. plenty of times, but as if you're a true educator and if you're a true teacher and you love your craft the way that you say that you do, that's a conversation to be had.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it. I don't know this. And I've had these conversations with a few of my acquaintances. And they say, hey, Phil, man, look, this is what it is. This is where it comes from. And this is the step. And you have to be vulnerable to that. And being a black man and understanding hip hop, you're highly criticized in everything. Right?
Say that louder, bus in the bag, even though when you walk out of class.
Exactly. Yep. How he picked up his bag. You know what I mean? So, and I think I tell this to my young teachers all the time. You have to exercise not only the body, but the brain. So, and if you can continue to learn, then your peers and your crowd and your audience will continue to learn. So I try my absolute best to continue to learn. And if I didn't know anything, then hey, let's enlighten me. You know, I never want to get too complacent.
Yeah.
Especially being my color. Yeah, being black. It's you have to because you'll continue to be challenged.
Yeah.
At all costs.
Yeah.
Culture or no culture, you're gonna be challenged in ways, and I tell this to my students all the time. There's no better feeling than knowing the right answer. There's no better feeling. Someone check. Oh nope, it's this. Says thank you very much. Next question. You know what I mean? Like that's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best feeling. So
Yeah. What's a goal that Phil has this year that he has not achieved yet?
Wow, my goal. That's tough. A goal that I have not achieved yet. I think. Oh man. Okay. I have just recent wanting to perform again.
Oh,
I want to dance,
okay.
and I was inspired the other night. Was watching an award show. I seen all my peers, and love seeing them. I'm like, man, I want to dance again. I started getting that itch. Like, I haven't hit a stage in a minute. I've been out here teaching. And I hit up one of my buddies and was like, yo, let me know if there's any auditions coming through. Cause I don't get any auditions or anything. I don't get sent out because this is what he told me. And I told him, I was like, why don't you hit me up? Hit me up for the next time. He goes, you still dancing? I think you were still dancing. Oh, you could have definitely been up there with us. And I was like, well, dog, why did you call me? And he told me flat out, he was like, it's perceived online that, because you're teaching, you've moved on. You sort of like, dancing shoes are hung up. Now you want to educate, which is, valid.
Yeah.
Very valid.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it out there.
Okay.
I wanna dance again. Okay, so send me the audition. I'll go audition. I don't care. I'll audition. If it's a direct book, cool. But if it's an audition, I'll be there. I have that itch again. I want to dance again on stage and dance professionally. And I choreograph and I teach all the time, but I haven't been on a good stage.
Yeah. Yeah. How many auditions would you say you've been through throughout your entire career? I have a question leading up, but just to get an idea.
Okay, so possibly, I don't know, man. That's tough. I want to, throughout my entire career,
Yeah.
truthfully, I've probably been on anywhere between like 15 to 25.
What advice would you give to dancers that are putting themselves in that space, hoping to, I mean, a lot of my audience, they're dancers wanting to dance like on a team in college, maybe to a big team in college. And the recruitment process getting there it's insane. It's insane. And a lot of them are young, 15, 16, 17, 18, never really even been to a big major audition. What advice would you give to dancers that are putting themselves out there?
Well, we live in a creator's world now. It isn't what it was in the year 2005, where you had to sit in the cattle call, you had to bring your resume, you had to sit outside of center stage. You sat there for 6 hours and they said, thank you. I remember being typecast so many times.
Yeah.
But we live in a creator's world, and my biggest suggestion would be uh create something to where you may not even need the audition, you know. Uh Now we live in a world where everyone is a boss, everyone is a creator, everyone has the tools to succeed.
Oh yeah.
And now, whereas before, you had to go through the audition to get to the agent, to get to the manager, to get to the production company, to get on, right? Whereas now you have everything in your hand, or you can go to an electronics store, buy all the equipment, and they go home and Google how to do it. You know what I mean? So, um, I always coach my kids on be be the boss rather than trying to go and chase the check, right? So, and I tell this to my students all the time. I'd rather be the one that's cutting the check than the one that's trying to go get one, you know? So, and that instills more power in the artist itself, right? Um, and I think I lead with that purpose and being valued in that way. Now that way is very scary because there's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, if you fail, there's no one to blame
Yep.
but yourself.
Yep.
Whereas if you're a dancer, you can say, "Oh, it's my agency. I haven't got an audition. Oh, because they knew the choreography or whatever, this and that." You have so many lanes of excuses that you resort to. Whereas, when you're the boss yourself, everything falls on you.
Yeah.
Your everything down to your faculty, down to the things that you do, the directions that you move in, and everything. So,
Yeah.
my biggest advice to um, my young creators and young artists would be create it for yourself. Because now, a lot of people are being undercut.
Mm.
Big agencies and not even big agencies, big corporations are going straight to the artists and saying, "Hey, would you be able to do this commercial? We give you X, Y, and Z for that." And who needs a middleman for that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yes, that would be my biggest suggestion.
How does Phil Wright want to be remembered?
What do they say when I'm not here? You know, what are the comments about me as an individual or as a profession? You know, and those people may not like my choreography. That's fine, but ultimately, I would like them to say, "You know what? He's all right guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's all right. He's cool. You know, I don't like his choreography. That's cool. That's subjective. Yeah, everyone has their own taste. But at the end of the day, I'm always concerned about if I don't even need respect like that. I don't need someone to say, "Oh, you've been doing it so long. I need you. This is." I don't even need all of that. I just if someone could just say, he's an all right guy. But I like to lead with some type of example to know that, hey, look, life isn't that as hard as you think it may be. You know, joy. Yeah, I think that's the one word answer. I would say joy. I would want people to remember me as joy, just pure joy.
I hope you guys enjoyed that interview with Phil Wright. Thank you, Phil, for coming on the No Counts Given podcast. My apologies, sincere apologies for the mic mistake. It will not happen again. You could hold me to that. But thank you, Phil, for coming on the No Counts Given podcast. It was a joy having you. Okay, so to close out the video, because the interview, to be clear, it was short, right? It was short. I had to do a lot of editing to it, but also we didn't have much time with each other. So it was short. So for the rest of today's episode, what I wanted to do is I wanted to get into some more hot topics. I introduced one last week, and talking about one was great, but I want to go on a few. So I'm gonna speed round, maybe 5 hot topics. I saved a bunch in my drive from last week and then this week, and to be honest with you, I don't remember a lot of them that were up. So what I'm going to do, speed round, I'm just going to click the top, I'm going to scroll through them, and we're just going to answer a lot of these hot topics and questions. And if you send some to me, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm trying to at least get a post up on my Instagram story at least once a week, like getting new hot topics. What's new? What's news and what? Oh my gosh! Come on, spit it out, Kyle. What's new that's going on in dance team? Fill me in with the news. Fill me in with the ins. I want to know everything. So let's get into hot topics. All right. So number one. Ooh, recycling routines. Nothing looks original anymore. Um, okay, just off the top of my head, I don't think it's recycling routines. Actually, I don't really feel like I see much of cycling routines. I feel like what is going on, and this was also kind of talked on my last episode or one of my episodes with Sammy. It's the need to use winning routine content, mix it in your own, thinking it's going to give you a winning routine. And it's like time. I say it all the time. I watch dance videos for a living now. I watch dance team videos for a living now. And I see it all the time. I'm watching videos and I'm watching routines and I'm like, very Ohio State coded, UNLV 2013. Minnesota did that a few years ago. How can we like use new and fresh material for competitions? So for me, I don't think it's recycling routines. I don't think recycling routines is the issue. I think it's where people are getting their inspiration from and taking that content, using it, thinking they're going to win, and that's just not how it works. So I think it's just people need to find new inspiration. Find new inspiration. Also, I just want to say, I was in South Dakota for 8 days. Y'all, it feels so good to be home. It feels so good to be home. I got to go home today. I flew in. This is going to be Thursday. I flew in back home on Wednesday. I was able to get my hair cut. Now I'm packing because I'm going on vacation in a couple of days. So, anyways, moving on. I don't know why I wanted to throw that in there. Okay. Palm is harder than hip hop. Why does no one talk about that? I don't think anyone talks about that because I just don't think it's simply true. I think I think it's very it's like on a bias to say like palm is harder than hip hop, but hip hop's harder than contemporary, but contemporary is harder than tap, but tap is harder than jazz. Each dance style is hard. Each dance style is very difficult. Let's be very real. If you know and understand the terminology, the usage of hip hop movement, how to control your body in hip hop movement, hip hop is very, very difficult. It's not just a 1-2 step. Let me bust out a head spring, give you a quick little transition to give you some new choreography. No, like if you understand musicality and textures and those wow moments and controlling your movements through passageways or whatever the case might be for hip hop, right? It is very difficult. Some of the most difficult routines I've ever danced were hip hop. Palm is difficult. Palm is athletic. Palm is sharp. You're high energy 110% of the way. I don't know. You could agree with me or disagree with me if you want. Leave a comment. Let me know. What do you think? Okay. Ooh, this one's juicy. Judges afraid to score big name programs low, even when the routine's a mess. For this one in specific, I would say it depends on the competition venue. I think it depends on where you're competing, like what circuit you're competing at. UDA, NDA, DTU. Like, I think it really depends on where you're competing at. I will say that there are times where I feel like dance has gotten a little political sometimes. And there's no way that people that are judging these competitions and on the judges' stands are like, oh, who's University of Minnesota or University of Memphis or the Ohio State University? Who are they? They know these teams, they know their program, they know their background, they know their successes. So I feel like when they're going into that competition environment, you have that expectation set already. Now, in the past, when I've watched competitions, like specifically, I'm going to say UDA, there would be times, and I'm not just talking about D1A or like I'm talking about D1A, D1, open. Like I've watched routines and I'm like, how did that be XYZ? I will look at the captions, I will look at the scores, I will see maybe work something out to like figure it out in my head. And there's times when I've done it and I'm like, no, this isn't working out in my head. How does that happen? Is it a little political? Are they judging too many routines in one day? Are they judging too many routines in one sitting? I love dance, but judging 10 hours and trying to be as accurate as possible 100% of the time, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, maybe judges are afraid to score big name teams low or big name programs low, even if the routine's a mess. Getting into some acro. Do you believe the acro craze will die down and we will get wait? Do you believe the acro craze will die down and we will get back to actual dancing? I think there's a part two to this question, but I'm just going to answer it based off this part one. No, I don't think the acro craze will ever die down at this point. Dance team has turned into a huge athletic sport. I love the way that dance team has turned into this big athletic sport, to be honest with you. I love the artistry. And I think what makes teams very, very impressive is when they're able to tie in their artistry side with their athletic side. Now, to be very clear, not all competition circuits are going to praise that. There are some competition circuits that want to see that athletic side and can, it's okay. We don't really have to care about the artistry side. Like, that's just truth be told. I feel like in studio competitions, you see a lot of that artistry side. You don't see a lot of that athleticism when it comes to like a small group or a large group on the floor. You're not going to see a lot of full team turns to aerials and 540s to the back handsprings. And you're not really going to see a lot of that. You will see it in a lot of solos, but probably not in a group dance. So that's one thing that I feel like is so special about dance team, though, is that it's different amongst all other dance circuits you're going to find. So I don't think it's ever going to die down. I love it. I think people will continue to push the athletic side forward. I think people should push the athletic side forward, but I do think people need to not forget about dance. Okay, let's do one more. We'll do one more. Why is it so rare to score in the 90s for dance team, but almost impossible to score lower than a 90 in cheer? Honestly, I think this all the time, especially when I'm watching like USASF Worlds, and I'm like, there are so many teams, so many incredible teams. How was the highest score in senior small palm a 95? That does not make sense to me. It does not make sense to me. So it's kind of hard to like even see like what the I mean, it's easy to see where the standard is. If the winning team was a 95 or a 93, then you're like, okay, that's the standard. But like, what is a 98 standard? What is a 99 standard? I think what the issue is that with cheer, there is clear rubrics. You have to do a double up kick front punch to the floor to the split kick, whatever it is, to score in this caption of cheer, right? The high caption. I don't know cheer, but I know that this is how the scoring goes. For dance team, we don't have that. It'll say if you want to score in the 9.0 to the 9.9 caption, you have to be top of the competition. But there's no like skill requirements. There's not like, okay, you have to perform consistent 4/8 counts of second turns incorporating 3 elements, changing spots, different arms, pirouette combinations. Like there's nothing in there that says this is what you need to score. I do not think that's an issue, to be honest with you. I think that would take scoring to a whole different game and dance team, which would just give people a headache and just wouldn't be great. You would know who's gonna win by watching the competition versus the end of the competition when judges are finished with their biased scores, right? I say biased, but you know what I mean. So anyways, that's just what the difference is for cheer and dance. Cheer, you know what you need to do to score in this range. Dance, you don't know what you need to do to score in this range. You just kind of have to have a hit or miss. Here's my routine. What do you think? Okay, back to the chopping block, right? So, all right. Well, that's it for my hot topics today. If you want a hot topic sent in, please check on my Instagram and send in your hot topics. If you're watching on Spotify, please don't forget to subscribe and rate us on Spotify. Our ratings have been going up, and I am so thankful for everyone that has been rating us. And if you watch on YouTube, subscribe. Okay, wait, let's talk about YouTube for a second. There are so many of you guys that come week after week after week since episode 1 5 weeks ago, and you're not subscribed. And I see you, and I'm going to remember that. So you should just subscribe. So then I could be like, okay, cool. We are friends. You're not just hate watching me, right? Like, let's be friends. Watch the No Counts Given podcast. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your Thursday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever day it is that you are watching this. And yeah, I'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy 4th of July.